You may start, sir.
Hello everyone. I am Dr. Sunil Kumar Srivastava, and today in this our live lecture we are going to discuss with you the lecture number 9, that is the portion is statistics. This is the BCA first semester, lecture number 9. Topic is the statistics. I think all of you listening my voice very clear. Okay. So if we start with our topic, that lecture number is 9. That is the unit number 9. That is the lecture number is 9. And so what happened? So before start the sessions, we have to come across the points. The topic is the statistics. So before going to start, we have to follow the general guidelines we have to follow during our live sessions. First of all, you have to maintain the discipline for a smooth conduction of the interactive live sessions. You have to type your name, enrollment number, and program name and the chat marks to the mark your attendance. You have to raise your questions only after the completion of the sessions. Do not interrupt between the sessions. Avoid posting any irrelevant questions and do not start any personal conversations. Interaction with the faculty should be the constructive and no disruptive comment is appreciated. And finally, for any issues you feel you have to contact the given academic support services, and you may post your queries on the given email IDs. These are the general guidelines you have to follow. Before we start the session, we have to know what is the learning outcomes of the sessions. What we learn after reading this lesson, what you will learn after joining the sessions. So first of all, we have to know, you have to aware about representation of statistical data. Representation of statistical data. You can analyze mean, median, and mode of the group and ungrouped data. Okay. You can also learn what is how to represent graphical representation of data is involved, and you do it, and you will be able to understand the concept of various measure of a central tendency. These are the some learning outcomes, learning objectives we have to learn after the completion of this live lessons. Before we start the session, we have to come across the points, some introduction parts, and we know why we are going to read the statistics. Statistics is the branch of the mathematics, and that is the most significant branch of the mathematics in which is already going to deal with the data analysis. We have some information, and we have going to use that information in terms of some information. So we have the data, and we are going to find out some information from that data, and that part is recognized by various way in the portion, including the statistics. So one by one, we have to know the concept here. Nowadays, our world is becoming more and more informative and oriented. Every day, we come across a lot of information in the form of facts, numericals, figures, tables, and graphs. These are provided by the internet, newspapers, televisions, magazines, other means of the communications, and so on. For example, suppose we have the data of our population of the country, and we are going to categorize all the data in the form of analytical part. How many persons are literate, how the persons of female, how the persons of the males, how the person of literated, how percentage is that, and different types of data. How old are the person, what is the young generations, what is the children's, how many girls, how many boys, and so types of data, different types of can be analyzed. So this is the analysis of the meaning is that. So they provide by the internets, newspapers, magazines, and other means of communications. Therefore, every single part of our lives utilize the data in one form or the other forms. So it is very necessary to know us exact meaning of the information such as the data. The extraction of meaningful information study is the branch of the mathematics, and that branch is known as the statistics. So statistics is the branch of the mathematics in which we are going to extract the meaningful information studied in the concept of any data we have the form of for the information purpose. Okay. So what is the meaning? What is the data? Why we are going to analyze this? What is the data? Data may be of any type. Suppose you are standing at a place and you are saying that for a 1 hour, you are how many four-wheelers and how many four-wheelers are passing from one side to other sides, and you have to find a number of 240. And if you find the analysis of this one, you find out how many where the different types of car. Suppose you have the many other cars of the other brands like Suzuki, Hyundai, and so on. So how many are the taxis? How many are the other brands car? How many are three-wheeler? How many are two-wheelers? How many are the different types of brands of this one? So different information we have the collected from the informations, collected from the sources. But data may be of two types, raw data and the formulated data. That is, the data refers to the real facts, figures, information collected from the various sources. It can be in any form, such as the number, such as the text, such as the images, such as the audios or videos. Data can be in form of any of such as that. So when data processes proceed and organized, becomes meaningful and useful. Suppose we have the data and we have the data can be organized in a systematic manner. So from that data, we can find some information. Suppose you are in a class and suppose the class has 50 students are here and you give exam and students, all of the students have to get the some marks. But if you arrange the marks obtained by you in a systematic manner, suppose you are get the marks. If I ask how many students have get the marks less than 10, how many students have get the marks more than 20, how many students makes the marks 40, makes greater than highest marks, how many students get the marks. So you saying the information can calculate the meaningful information from that data. When to this meaning is here, when data proceeded and organized becomes meaningful and useful to us, turning into information that can be derived decision makings. So this is the concept of a data, and data may be useful, how useful and how can be used to further proceeding further. Okay. So what is the reason behind introduction to the data representations? First of all, definition. What is the definition here? How to represent the data in the terms of this one? So representation of data refers to the methods used to summarize and visualize data easier for understanding purpose and interpretation purpose. So purpose is that simplifies complex data sets, highlights trends, and aids in the decision making theory. Suppose we are going to know the trends of this one. Suppose you are all of you, someone is associated with the share markets. So you have to data previously associated from that share, and we have to analyze this data. And after that, we have analysis and taking the concept used in that, we can take a decision regarding that is maybe further happen to next scenarios. So simplifications and analysis interpretation of the data is very much clear to here. The understanding and interpretations of the data make, summarize and visualize to easier convey our concept. So purpose is that to simplify complex data sets, highlight trends, adds to decision making theory. So statistics is the mathematical discipline to study the collection, analysis, interpretations, presentations, and organize of data. Common method used in statistics: collection information of the data. What is the, so first of all, we have to collect the data from the information from the sources. Then after we have to summarize the data. And finally, we have to statistical analysis by using the statistical tools like mean, median, mode, variance, and other statistical tools that is useful to us to find out the relationship between the, to find out the information from the data. So this is categorized into following steps, that is the collections, summarizations, and statistical analysis of the data here. Now, data in statistics. Data in statistics. So, first of all, we have to know the facts, figures, which are numerically or otherwise measurements. Numerically otherwise means it will be in a word format, it will be in observation format, and etc. Collected with a definite objective is known as the data from any sources. That is the known as the data. And this can be in the fact type in the form of the facts, can be type in the form of the figures, it can be numerically, otherwise it can be words format, it can be observation format, so on. So this type of information will be known as the data. Suppose we have given you, how many students and whose marks is distributed in the class. So information taken is known as the data. The one student, two student, every student for that. When you arrange this data in a systematic manner, that will be for purpose of a study, that will be known as the statistical analysis. So in that category, we have to know what is the meaning of the types of data. And data are two types here, that is the qualitative and the quantitative. Qualitative and the quantitative. Qualitative data is the descriptive data. Descriptive and quantitative, the numerical informations. Suppose descriptive data means, suppose you are going to discuss the physical appearance of any particular things. How fair is that? How glory is that? How beautiful is that? And so type on this one. And numerical quantitative data means how many persons, how many things, how many percentage of the ratios, how many females and males in the society have given particular things are here. So this data should be the descriptive type and data should be in the numerical types. So two types of data we are going to read here, that is the qualitative and the quantitative. And qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis have the different scenarios, and we have the different methods to measure the things of the data types of that. If the qualitative data is that, we have the different types of method. With the quantitative, we have the different other information to be analyze the things. So we move here to describe the things. First is that qualitative. What is descriptive? It is the descriptive data describe characteristics or qualities. Characteristics are qualities. It can be fair, it can be fast, it can be nationally by color, it can be black color, white color, and so on other things. Many of other things is that. For example, he can run fast. Gender, color, nationality, products, reviews are examples of the qualitative data. Subtypes, nominal data category with no specific order. Colors, types of fruits, nominal. Ordinal data categories should be defined. Suppose ranking, like first, who is the first rank, who is the second rank, who is the third rank, who is the get the first position, who get the second position. That's it. So it's a subtype of information. That is the only is the qualitative means we have the nomination. Suppose you have the beauty contest is happening at a stage and you are the judge there and we are going to mark them. So how to clarify, how to give them numbers? You can't say that this is the first number, this is the second number, this is the first beautiful, this is the second beautiful. You can't say. You have to describe the data in the qualitative form. And that's where you have to use the things that is the analysis categorized as qualitative. Okay. And the same things in the form of quantitative is meaning is that quantitative means numerically based. Quantitative data means it is numerically information. It is the numerical information represents numerical values and quantities. Numerical values and the quantities. For example, if we have the 40 students have attended the seminars, we can discuss the different types of situation, what were their heights, what is their ages, what were the temperature at the sales of revenues, and so on. There are different types of how many presented the papers, how many were from outside of the country, how many of international candidates, how many of the national candidates. Different types of collections can be taken out. Okay, and that data qualitative will be in the terms of the qualitative. What the subtypes is here? Discrete data. Discrete means like countable numbers. How many students in the class get the 40 marks? That is the countable numbers. How many students in a class, number of students in a particular class, that is the countable numbers. Continuous, measurable can take any value within the range. Measurable, but we can be take any values in the range. Like is that, suppose how many students in the class whose weight is lie between 40 to 50 kg. That is the in the terms of continuous. How many students whose age is from 10 to 50 years? This type of data between the range, that is the types of the continuous data here. So different qualitative means a discrete and continuous, and quantitative means we have to different types of based on the appearance of the physical appearance of the given information to the sources. Okay, moving further. Types of qualitative. What is the discrete data? It has a fixed numerical value that can be counted. The number of students in a class fixed. Number of students who get marks less than 40 is fixed. Okay. Continuous. It is not fixed value, but have the range data. How many students, how many persons whose age lie between 30 to 40 years. 30 to how many persons are whose weight is 30 to 40 kgs. The age of the student in a class range 18 to 21 years. That is the continuous informations. Primary data, it is the data which have been collected by an investigators through our surveys, experiment, interview, etc. So this type of data is known as the primary. Suppose we are just we are told you earlier, when you are standing at a some point and the vehicles are passing through that, and you are collected the number of vehicles in 1 hour. So that type of data will be collected. That will be the primary data. Okay. So number of results prepared by a teacher through the evaluating the answer books. This is also the example of the primary data. Okay. And other is the secondary data. What is secondary data? It is the data that is gathered from a sources which already information stored. Because suppose we have today we are going to know, okay, what is the ratio, female ratio with the male ratio according to 2010 our birth calculations. Okay, so you can take the information from the net already have in the here, and you information should be use for your point of view. You can use that data from your point of sources. How many teachers are there, how many vacancies are there, how many students have passed out through the particular, and this type of sources you are going to use. That data is known as the secondary information, secondary data. For example, that is also given here. The data of the results collected by the principal from the teachers. Teacher have made the results is the primary data, and is collected by the principal. That is the secondary data, because principal had already teacher have made the data. This is the primary, and primary data is used to for the some other purpose of uses. That is known as the secondary data. So this is the concept behind this one. What is the meaning of the discrete data? What is the meaning of the continuous? What is the meaning of the primary? What is the meaning of the secondary data here? Now, how to represent? So, for the representation, we have to know the representation of data, representation of data. After collecting the data, we need arrangement of the data in such a manner that it can be easily understood, serves and desired purpose and meaningful. But we have a data, so we have to know the information. We have the randomly data, we can't find any informations, but data is arranged in systematic manner, so we can trace the information from the givens. So we have to represent the data in the following manners. Arrangement of data is known as the representation of the data. So arrangement of data is known as the representation of data. The unorganized or raw data can be arranged in the following manner. Suppose we have raw data, we can follow. How can we arrange? Alphabetically a serial orders. You can arrange. You can arrange them in ascending or descending orders. We can arrange them by the basis of the frequency distributions. For example, how many persons have got the marks, how many persons have got the less marks, and so on. So on the basis of the frequency, you can arrange them in ascending and descending orders. You can arrange them on the basis of serial orders, and so on. Now, moving next, we have some raw data and we have tried to arrange the data in the our presentation skills. Suppose, consider the marks obtained by 10 students in a mathematics test. Out of 50 marks, 10 marks, one first student get the 39, 33, 45, 19, 41, 21, 21, 41, and 40. From this is the data, is called the ungrouped data and raw data. The randomly marks of the 10 student out of 50 marks test is given here, and that type of data is known as here raw data. This data is known as the raw data. Raw data. Okay. The data is in this form is known as the ungrouped. This is now also in a systematic order. If we arrange the data in ascending or descending order, data give the better understanding. We can find the maximum minimum value. Suppose we data represent ascending order. First of minimum marks is the 19 and maximum marks is going to be 15. So by seeing this data, you can say minimum marks are for the class if the 50 students, 10 student or 50 marks. Minimum marks was attained by student in 19 and maximum marks attained by the student is the 45. Okay. From here, we can also find some information. 19 marks getting, there are 2 students in the class. 21 marks getting, there is also 2 students in the class. 33 marks getting the 1 student in the class. 39 marks is getting only 1 student in the class. 40 marks is getting 1 student in the class. 41 marks getting the 2 student in the class. 45 student getting the 1 student in the class, and so on. So this is the information: 2 student, 2 student, 1 student, 1 student, 1 student, and 2 student, and finally 1 student. How is the 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 3, 10. That is total 10 students. In which 2 students have get the marks 19, 2 students have get the marks 21, 1 student get the marks 33, 1 student get the marks 39, 1 student get the marks here 40, 2 student get the marks 41, and 1 student get the marks here 45. So if we arrange the data in systematic order, we can understand the data in a very systematic manners for our understanding purpose. So we arrange the data here, we have written here. If we arrange the data in the ascending or descending order, data will give the better understanding. Okay, so from here we have to get the minimum marks, maximum marks, descending, and so on. Next, data represented in descending orders. If you descend, this is the highest mark, this is the lowest mark, 45, 41, so on. From the above data we have find here, that is what we find here. We find here, we can usually trace here. The maximum marks is here 45 and minimum value is here 90. That's it. So information can be collected if the data is arranged in descending order and systematic orders. That's it. Now, moving further, organize in a predefined format like tables, spreadsheet, and so on. For example, data is stored in databases, spreadsheets, relational database, and so on. Other is that unstructured data, not recognized in specific structures. For example, emails, social medias, posts, videos, images. These are unstructured data. So different types and different categories are here. Now, tabular representations. How to tabulate the data in our system? So presenting the data in the tables from the clearly comparisons like graphical representation, visual display of the data in the forms of the charts, graph, or the plots here. So some key points for the graphical representation: it should be in the bar graph, it should be in the parts of the charts, it should be the histograms, that is the pie charts, it could be form of the line, it could be form of the graph here. So these are some key methods by the use of which you can arrange the data in the tabular representations form for the better understanding purpose. The bar one by one we reached what is the meaning of this one. First of all, tables. This is the table. Organize the data into the row and the column. Suppose your data, we make the like table like that. Here we have to make the some rows. We have to arrange the main some rows and making some columns here. So with this type of representation will be known as the tables format. What is the advantage? To compare individual values suitable for the small data set. Small data set, we can prepare the tables here. Disadvantage, harder to identify trends in larger data set. It is very difficult to organize what is the trends for the larger data sets because complication will be created and no information should be practically collected by sources of the data in the terms of the when data is represented in the terms of the table formats and data is too large. Okay, so we have taken example to describe the things in very clear way. We have the given example here. We have the some numbers are given 111, 234, 541, 112, 116, 533, 422, and 3311. Suppose we are giving the this one. Suppose you're going the number of students who get the marks in 10. These are the numbers. So how many students are here to get the 1 marks? Okay. How many 1 digits are here? We count here 1 digit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The 1 digit is here 10. In the similar way, number of 2 digits, the number of 2 digit is 1. That is here 2. And that is here 3. And that is here 4. The number of 2 digit is here 4. Now, what is the number of 3? This is the 3, 1. Another 3 is here 2, and there is a 3, and there is also 4. The number of 3 digits is also here 4. In this way, we can calculate the data. That is the 4. How many 4 digits? How many 5 digits? How many 6 digits? How many 7 digits are present in this data set? The 7 digit are here 0. No 7 digit is here. No 8 digit is here. No 9 digit is here. No 10 digit is here. But no 9 digit is here. But all that information is here. 4 digits are here 3. 5 digits are here 2. 6 digits are here 1, and so on. So this is the information. By seeing this data written format, we have the difficult to understand. If I ask you how many ones are here, you have to take the times to describe. But you see this table, you directly say that the 1 digits are here 10 times, 2 are here 4 times, 3 are here 4 times, 4 is 4 3 times, 5 is here 2 times, 6 is here 1 time, 7 is 0 times. That's the way you can say that directly. You can say that. Okay, so this is the information and this is the database. Now, if the number of observation is large, then arranging the data with a serial order, ascending order, a descending order is quite time consuming. If one by one takes the time too much. Therefore, to save the time and better understanding of the given set of information, you tabulated the data in the frequency distribution table. What is the frequency distribution? One group frequency distribution table and the other is the grouped frequency distribution table. On group frequency distribution table, that is then no grouping is given, and in the group, first we make the group and then after frequency will be calculated in that way. So we have a given here. We have given the number of students who marks is obtained in certain number of classes. Certain marks in the frequency of those marks is here. 10, 20, 30, 92, 95, 40, 50, and so on. Now we have to, from the above data, we distribute the marks in the terms of the frequency. Now, first of all, we see the highest mark here, that is here, that is a 95 here. Okay, highest marking is here, that is the 95 here. So now we find how many students who get the 95 marks. That is known as the frequency. How many means frequency? Only one student here who get the marks 95. Now 92. What is that 92? How many students are here to get the 92 marks? One student is here, other student is here, other student is here, and so on. So 92 marks getting student is here, only 3. In the same way, how many students get the marks 88? How many students get the marks 80? How many students get the marks 72? How many students get the marks 70, 60, 56, 50, 40, 36, 20, and 10. And totally, if you count this, total number of frequencies are here 30. Total number of frequencies here. So the above table is known as the frequency distribution table. This table is known as the frequency distribution table. So here we can classify from this, seeing this ungrouped data, we have to too much time to analyze the data, and information should be find out, but after taking some time. But seeing this table, frequency distribution table, we directly find out. We want to ask you how many students who get the mark 60. You directly say 4 students here. If I ask you how many students who get the marks 50, so directly seeing the table, you would say that that is the number of students is 3. But you see this table, you have to take some more time for this one. So this is the table of frequency distribution table for ungrouped frequency tables. Okay. Now moving further. Suppose we have the students like that. What is the example? Consider the following frequency distribution table with the give the weight of 38 workers of a company. There are 38 workers in a company and its weight is given. How to read here? There is written weight in kg. Weight in kg, and is written is the number of students, that is the frequency. Here is given first, give 31 to 35, meaning is number of the person whose weight will lie between 31 to 35 kg. And this is the number is here 9. Okay. Here, now we find next table shows the number of 36 to 40. This is the how many students whose weight is from between the 36 to 40 kg, and that number is here 5. If you read 41 to 45, how many number of students is here? 14. One number of the persons, individuals, yeah, workers whose weight is lie between 41 to 45, and that number is here. When there are 14% workers in the company whose weight is between 41 to 45 kg. Here you see this line. What is information collect? There is 2 workers in the company whose weight is lie between 56 to 60 kg. And finally, if you see this line, there is 1 worker in the company's weight is lie between 66 to 70, and so on. So finally, what we asked here, the above table is known as the grouped frequency distribution table. This is known as grouped frequency distribution table. This is known as the grouped frequency distribution table. I hope you understand this one. Now moving further to know some information. Suppose if 2 workers of weight 35.5 kg, 45 kg have also joined in the company, then we can't add these in the upper class because upper limit and lower limit of the class are not same, because we have understood 31 to 35. And next range we started from 36 to 40. That was the started. So from this is known as from any interval. Suppose we have 31 to 35 given. So this is known as the lower. This is known as the lower limit. That is known as the lower limit. And this is known as the upper limit. So we find a lower limit and upper limit are not same. That is same and not same. To make the upper limit and lower limits of the consecutive interval same, the difference of the upper limit of a class and lower limit of its succeeding class is obtained, and half of the difference is obtained is subtracted from the lower and upper class. For example, it is given a 31, okay, 31 to 35, and 36 to 40 is considered there. Upper limit class is 31 to 35. Its upper limit class is 35, okay, and for the lower class is the 36. We take the difference of this one, 36 minus 35. Your answer is here 1, and take this 1 by 2. That is the 0.5. The 0.5 should be subtracted from here, and 0.5 should be subtracted, adds from here, and 5 should be subtracted from here. So 31 to 35.5, and 35.5 to 40.5. In this type of interval should be increased. So we see here in our next table, that's it. So what half of the differences? Just actually 1 by 2 is equal to 0.5. So therefore, new class interval should be found as the 31 to 35 will be written as 31 should be difference by -5 and 35 should be divided by the 0.5. Each interval have to do that, right? So 31 becomes 30.5 and 30 and 5.5 becomes the 35.5. And we find here this is lower and upper should be always same here. Look here, 40.5, this is 40. When is ends where this start are the first one. So this type of if you are going to do the problem of any type of this thing and the interval is not same, so we have to change in that. So what have to do? Lower limits of the first and upper limit of the second, we have to take the difference divided by 1 by 2. And what have to do? If we take the class interval, suppose this is the class interval lower limit and the upper limit here. So from lower limit, lower minus difference is 0.5 and upper limit plus difference is 0.5. We have to add and new limits in new limit will be find out. Okay. So similarly, we can find all the remaining class intervals by convention is that to be considered 30.5 is included in the class interval, 40.5 is not in the class interval. So the frequency distribution table from the new intervals is given by this table. So this is the way we can contribute and we can identify the table frequency distribution table for the same year. I hope all of you understand this one. Okay, now moving further. It is well said that one picture is better than 1,000 words. If you written the books in the examples and you are writing that, you have to understand the things you have to read. But you see the pictures, by seeing the pictures, you directly know the many things of that one. So that is a very well said is that one picture is better than our 1,000 words. Therefore, graphical representation is the visual display of our data and is statistically described form. So there are different way to represent the data graphically, common ways as well. First of all, the bar graph, pie chart, histogram, line graph, and frequency polygons. These are the formats by which by pictorial representation of data is the possible. Pictorial representation of the data. One by one, I read here. What is the meaning of the bar graph? Bar graph is nothing but what is the meaning of bar graph? Is pictorial representation of the data in which bar of uniform width are drawn on the axes. This is the axis. And then the bar of this one equal width of the bar graph is the distributed. Suppose like that. So this type of data, like this is the type of bar in this way. Variable heights and bar along the axis along the values. Suppose you are given here some data. Grocery, 4,000 rupees. How many expenses on the rent? That is the 5,000 rupees. Education of the children, that is the 5,000 rupees. Some person have the expenses also there in the valuable sheet. My under medicine, he's expending 2,000 rupees per month. On the fuel, he's represented 2,000. And next entertainment, he's expending 1,000. And in miscellaneous expenditure is that 1,000 rupees. Anyway, distributed. So first of all, we have the on the table we have the point out the points, heads of the distribution. Suppose mail association, entertainment, fuels, medicines, and classings. And on the other y-axis, we have the node expenditure in the rupees. So this is the 1,000 rupees, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and so on. So grocery, how many grocery amount is invested on expenditures? What is the expenditure on the grocery? That is the 4,000 here, written 4,000. So you have to make the graph like that on vehicle widths. That is the representation. That's by seeing this information. If I ask you what is the expenditure on medicine, then you see the peak height of this one, and that is just 2. So that 2,000. If I also see that fuel, it's also 2,000. Also children's education, that is the 5,000. Rent is the 5,000, so on. So by seeing the information, pictorial representation reading to this information is the better way to understand the concept and information for this one. So this was our bar graph. Next one is this chart. A chart that represents categorical data with rectangular bars with the length of each bar is proportional to its values represented. Uses best for comparing different categories of the groups. Suppose we're going to categorize and compare the two categories of the groups. You can use the this one. Example, include the simple bar chart and the simple datas. For example, we have the given examples is here. We have the given numbers of the 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And just we are making the graph in this one. How many ones are here? We just find it 10. How many ones are here? That is the 10. How many 2 are here? That is the 6. How many 3? That is the 4. How many 4s are? That is also 2.5 and so on. 2.5 and that is the, there should be 3 here. 3. How many 5s are here? That is the 2. How many 6 are here? That is the 1. How many 7 are? That is the 0. Okay. So this is the representation of the data in the terms of the graph. Now we know the pictorial graph here. Right? A pictorial representation of the data in which circle is divided into the sectors. We have a circle here. This is the circle. And this circle is divided into the different type of sectors, representing the spice flow of the relative size of the data. Definition is that a circular chart divided into the sectors where each sector represents the proportions of the total. Suppose here 10.25 is percentage. So this is the total of the 10.25%. This is the 5.12%, this is 5.13%, 10.25%, 10.1, so on. That's it. So uses. What is the uses? Best for showing the parts of a whole. Suppose we have the part of 1 and we have a different best part to show the percentage of that. We will seek this one. You can see here how many portions of the included in these scenarios. Okay, this is the 25%. This is also 25%. Now that is this also one. Including a pie chart with simple data, we can arrange this one. Next one is the histogram. We are going to read here histogram. Okay, a diagram consisting of rectangles like bar graph. Rectangles like that, like of this one. Rectangle like bar graph. It is like whose area is proportional to the frequency of the variant and width is equal to the class interval. Suppose you have to interval class 10 to 15. The width will be here 10 and this will be the 15. So 10 to 15 and proportionally height to be the variant of the frequencies. So a type of bar graph used to represent distribution of continuous data. Difference, how the difference from bar in the histogram adjacent reflecting continuous data. What are the uses? Used for showing the distribution of numerical data. An example is include the histogram and simple data. We have taken this graph. We'll show the examples of this one. The student of a class between asked to pick up a number between the 25 to 30. So given is data is that here. Because suppose 1 to 5. 1 to 5 class interval 1 to 5. There are 5 students. Interval class interval 5 to 9. We have the interval is the 10. From class interval 9 to 13, we have the number of students is the here 24 and 23. And from 13 to 17, that is the 24. And from 17 to 21, that is here 9. And from 21 to 25 here, that is also 9. And there is the 19. Okay. So in this way, we can find out the distribution like that. This was the meaning of that one. Now we know here what is the meaning of the line graph. What is the meaning of here? Line graph. What is the meaning of the line graph? A bar graph that uses the point connected by the lines to show red trends over a time. Suppose the 10, this is the trends. 10, 4, 6, 9, 2. This is the trends of the visualizations. The use is ideal for visualization changes and trends over the period of intervals. Including the line graph, a sample graph of data, the graph will be presented by this way, and that is known as the line graph. That is known as the line graph. Now we move most other important parts of the frequency polygons. That is the frequency polygons. Frequency polygons are similar to the histograms and useful while comparing two or more data. Okay. The graph mainly represent cumulative frequencies distribution data in the form of their line graph. The graph in a frequency polygon is drawn on x-axis and y-axis. A rectangular graph x-axis represent the value of the data sets and y-axis represent the frequency of each category. Suppose like that. This distribution gives the value of the data set and this gives the frequency of the data set. When plotting the frequency polygon graph, the most important aspect is that midpoint, which is called the class interval, are the class marks. Suppose your data is a 9 to 20, sorry, 10 to 20. So we have to make the class mark. How to find out? We have to add this lower limit to upper limit. This is 10 plus 20 and divide by 2, that is the 15. That is the class marks, okay, for any class intervals. So in this way, that is the important concept is find here. Step number 1 to find out, just I told with you, marks of the class interval of x series, we plot the curve on the y-axis. Calculate the midpoint. The class marks given by upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2. Once the class marks are obtained, marks it is on x-axis. Since the height away from the source frequency, plot the frequency according to the class marks gate, and we can find out the graph related to this one. Suppose we have given example. In the batch of 400 students, the height of students given the following frequencies. In the height range, whose number of students whose height is lie between 140 to 150 centimeter. Number of students is here 74. The height of the student whose lie between 150 to 160, the number of students is here 163 and so on. So total student is 400. And how could represent in the form of terminologies? By that one solutions, how to get this one. So first of all, we have a range here. We have given the class interval. And class for the class interval, we have to find the class mark that is noted by the frequency of the x side. How to find to do? We have to take this lower mark and this upper mark. One lower is the 140, upper is the 150, and divide by 2. What is the 290 divided by 2? That is the 145. That is the class mark is 145. And number of student is 14 here. So for each and every class interval, we have the class marks. Each and every class interval, we have the class marks. We have each and every interval, we have the class marks. So new data will be represented in the terms of the class marks here. So data will be defined as that is the given. From the initial point is here given. So we have the making the zeros. And from here we have the rises. First point is that is the 135, other is the B, that is the C point. That the class marks should be the given categorized. And we then make this one, that is the known as the frequency polygon. This type of line, A to B, C, D, E, F, and G, that is the frequency polygons. So 15, 145, 155, 165, and so on. We can find out. Advantage. Simplify complex data, marks large database are easy to understand, show trends and patterns, and aids decision making to understand the things. Help in analyzing the data and drawing the conclusions. Limitations. Poorly designed graph can lead to the incorrect conclusions. Sometimes lose detailed information. Some charts may be not work well with very large data set. This is the disadvantage limitation of this presentation skills. A measure of the central tendency. Measure of the central tendency are the values that describe a data set by identifying the central position of the data. There are three measures of central tendency which are commonly used in statistics. First is the mean, second one is the median, and third is the mode. Mean is the most important common measure of central tendency used to describe a data set. That is the concept. The mean, median, and mode are the basic tools to describe the measure of central tendency. Now next move, what is the range? The range is a measure of the spread or dispersion in the data set. It is the difference between maximum and minimum value in the data set. Formula: range is equal to maximum value minus of minimum value. That is the we find range. Suppose we given the student of the marks, the minimum value is 19, maximum value is the 45. So range is equal to 45 minus of 90. That is the range. Maximum value minus of minimum values. How to calculate? First of all, identify the highest value in the data set, identify the lowest value in the data set, subtract the minimum value from the maximum value, and we get. Suppose your data set forwarded to this one. Here lowest value is the 8, highest value is the 42. So range is the 38, 42 minus 4, 38. So this is the value of range here. Range is a different data set. Suppose your data set 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The range is here 40. In the second data set, 2 and 30, that is 11. So larger the range, more spread out the data set is here, key insights. Now next, what is the mean? That is the most important part. That is the what is the mean? Mean or arithmetic mean of individual is found by sum of the all the terms divided by the total number of the frequencies. So mean is united by x bar, sum of all the frequencies, sum of all the data, and divided by the total number of frequencies. That is the distribution we will give the marks. Suppose we are in student, there are 5 students with marks get by 5, 4, 3, 6, and 9. Then what is the mean of this data? What have to do? We have the sum of all the data, 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 6 plus 9, and divide by 5. The value obtained here is the mean of the given data. This is the result for the ungroup. Okay. For the group data, we have the different types of method, that the direct method, that take the assumed mean method, and so on. We can use the concept to find out the mean of the given distribution by this one. What is the direct method? Suppose any variables x1, x2, x3 will have the frequency f1, f2, f3. Suppose we have in a class, 3 students get the 10 marks, 4 students get the 15 marks, and so on. 5 students have the get the 7 marks. So every individuals have their frequencies. So in that case, meaning is that we have what have to do? We have to frequency multiply x into f. 7 into 10. This is 7 into 10 into 7 plus 30 into 8 plus 50 into 10 and so on. And multiplied by the total number of frequencies. Divided by the total number of frequencies. Find the mean of the data by the direct methods. So this is the meaning. That is the mean value. That is the xi. This is the frequency xi, and we have to multiply this table xi into f5. This is the 5xi. 10 into 7, 70. 30 into 8, that is the 214, so on. And the sum is taken 2750. Total frequency 50. Divide this one, total number of frequencies 55. And that is the mean of the given distributions. That is the mean of the given distributions. So this is the way you can find out the mean of the that's. In the same context, we have the other concept, that is the median. What is the median? Median is the middlemost observation of a distributions after arranging the data into the ascending or descending orders. If the number of observations are odd, the median is n plus 1th term of the observations. And if the number of observations are even, the median have the 2 terms, n plus 2th, n plus 2 observation, median of that, arithmetic mean of this one. For examples, and to calculate formula for to calculate the median for the group data. So what is the value? L plus n by 2 minus CF. CF means the cumulative frequencies, okay? Upon F into H, where L is the lower limit of the median class, F is the frequency of the median class, H is the class size, CF is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class, and N is the total number of observations. So in this way, we can find out the values regarding this one. And finally, we find the value of what is the value of mode. The mode of the group data is calculated on the basis of the model class. And that formula is here. Mode is equal to L plus F minus F1 upon 2F minus F1 minus F2 into H. Where L is the lower limit of the model class. F is the frequency of the model class. H is the class size. F1 is the frequency class preceding the model class. And F2 is the class following the model class. So this is the formula to find out the model of the frequency distribution tables. And finally, we come across from the points of the learning outcome of these sessions. In this session, we have discussed with you in details here. First of all, representation of the data, representation of statistical data in the terms of the continuous raw data and so on. Representation of data, graphical representation of the data. Understand the concept. We understand here, we have described in details here. Concept are the various measure of center tendency like mean, median, and mode. Also, we have analyzed the mean, median, and mode of the data in different scenarios, in different formulas we have to used here. So these are the learning outcomes of our learning sessions. Any question from any discussion, any doubts from your side, you may raise your questions in the chat box. I will explain with you. Any doubts from your side, any questions, any queries, you may raise here in the chat box. If anyone asks anything. So thank you very much, all of you, for happy learnings. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions? No questions. So thank you very much. You may raise your. Thank you. Thank you. Happy learnings.